Genshin Impact. So, if you guys remember, I used to make Genshin Impact Spiral Abyss videos. I'm laughing because it's been like a year. Now, if you watch my recent Primogem amount video, you guys know that I don't pull anymore in this game at all. So because of this, all of my relevant characters have not a single constellation. And you know what, I figured since that video did so well, let's push for 36 stars once again, just for old time's sake. So after putting a bit of effort, I actually did make it back into the 36 club. So in this video, I'm going to go ahead and describe the strategy I went with. Small disclaimer, I am not a hardcore Genshin gamer. Basically what I'm saying is the knowledge that I have on Genshin Impact is quite low. Believe it or not, the last time I made an Abyss video, I actually learned a lot from the comments section. Crazy, right? So anyway, here's the teams that I went with. So the first team here is the national team, but without Xingqiu. And the reason why Xingqiu is not there is because he's actually pretty important on the second half. And on the second half, I'm using the Beidou team. Now, Beidou, we just got for free last update, I believe. And honestly, Beidou was a pretty big game changer for me because I honestly don't think 36 stars would have been possible without Beidou. All right, let's go over these stats. So for Bennett, the most notable thing is that he's wearing the Festering Desire. And his artifact set is the Crimson Witch set, which by the way, I'm only using because I don't really have anything else for him. I have crowned his ultimate because he's OP. I've also crowned Xingqiu's ultimate because he's OP. Now, artifacts for Xingqiu is just damage. I think you can make a pretty good argument for energy recharge on the Hourglass, but I didn't have any good ones. The sword on Xingqiu is the Sacrificial Sword, minus R1, though I'm not sure how much that matters. Next, let's talk about Beidou. So on Beidou, I'm using the new Tuna weapon, but I think the Serpent Spine is actually better if you have it. I would personally recommend to use more energy recharge on Beidou. I don't have very much, so it actually hurts me in my run. Try to get it on an Hourglass or a weapon. Either is fine. Her talents are currently level 9, but I think after this cycle, I'm going to crown her ult. For Sucrose, of course, I'm using the Animo set. All of the main stats are Elemental Mastery, which I don't think matters very much. The weapon I'm using is the Hakushin Ring, which by the way is the new Inazuma craftable weapon. I think your best 4-star option is the Sacrificial Fragments or the Favonius Codex. Either one is good if you have them. So between the Hakushin Ring and the Thrilling Tales book, I think the ring might outperform by a small amount, but I could be wrong. Next, of course, is Chongyun. Now with both Chongyun and Kaya, I feel like there's nothing interesting to note because I feel like they're just there to push for more damage. So of course I'm going to put the best artifacts that I can on them. And of course the first thing that you can note with my artifacts is that they're pretty crazy. After an entire year of farming artifacts, I think I can finally say that my artifacts are good. Now between artifacts and constellation, I personally think the constellation makes a bigger difference. And the reason why I think that is because not only do you up your skill levels with constellation, but with some of these you can actually up your rotation speed. You can also get access to resistance shred, and you can actually get access to a completely different source of damage. For example, the C6 of Fischl. Now speaking of Fischl, the biggest thing to note is I'm using the Rust Bow. Now in terms of performance, the Rust Bow is pretty much exactly the same as the prototype bow. I believe the stringless is probably the better option here if you have it. Now I did crown Fischl's E, and the reason why I did that is because I feel like I'm going to be using Fischl for a long time, so I felt like it was worth it. Next we have Jiangling, which is another character I probably should have crowned. You'll notice the artifact set I'm using here is the Noblesse Oblige 4 set. Now this set is actually better on Bennett, but the reason why I put on Jiangling is because the actual stats that I have on it are better. You can make your own judgment here. So the weapon I'm using is Dragon's Bane, and the only reason why I'm not using the catch is because I'm too lazy to farm it. But if you do farm the catch, please use that. So with chamber 1, I feel like this is the easiest chamber of the 3. So for the first half, the idea here is to focus on the guys that throw stuff at you. They're pretty annoying because they don't actually approach you, so that's why I focus on them. It's pretty simple, just snapshot everything into Bennett ult and do damage. Okay, the second half basically shows how broken Beto's ult is because the electro damage will bounce off everything. The idea here is to set up with Beto's ult, Fischl's Oz, and Xingqiu's ult, and then basically shred everything with the Anemo set on Sucrose. Now of course I want to switch into Beto occasionally just to get some more energy. The second chamber here I actually think is quite difficult. The first thing you'll notice is that I have full energy at the start. I do have to actually make sure that I have full energy because my damage is just not that good. While I am trying to get the melt damage as much as possible, my main goal here is to use these skills off cooldown as much as possible. I don't have very much energy recharge on my characters, so it is very important for me to get as much energy as possible, because with this team most of the damage is going to be coming from the ultimates. So the second half here is actually way easier with the Beto team. Basically use all your ultimates on the Cryo Mage and just absolutely destroy her. This is to make sure that she doesn't put up her Cryo Shield, and then after that it's just an easy 1v1. Chamber 3 first half is pretty easy. Basically just snapshot everything to Bennett ult and just keep your energy up.
この瞬間お前は永遠をみんなは俺が守れこれ封印厳剣剣を入れよ風邪ひくなよおとなしくしや全力攻撃痛いよ師匠の技を食らいなさいグオパこれ
So again, with the Beidou team, just have all your ultimates ready and shred with Sucrose. With this boss, is actually quite important for you to actually counter correctly with Beidou, and that's because not only do you get a ton of damage, you actually get a ton of energy as well. And actually, thankfully, this boss's attacks are pretty easy to counter. There's one where there's a big light from the sky, and there's one where he rockets up into the sky and then comes down. I would say basically try and save your counters for these attacks. But if you mess up and miss one, then it's okay to just use it right away. Energy is actually a pretty big deal in this fight.
この剣はわかるかい歌ように断罪の6308式ユニット
So when he transitions to this part of the fight, just basically look for the one with the light circling around it. That'll be the real one that you need to fight.
無双の風シミュレート吸引テスト開始左右姿を見行くぞこの剣はわかるかい雨描きがたし歌よに6308炭になるが断罪の超拡散形態安全距離夜の剣